Brunch with the boys, we the hottest.
Brunch with the boys, we the hottest. What's going on? It's your boy King Des here. Another episode of Brunch with the Boys. How we doing this evening, gentlemen?
You know, I'm good, bro. I'm always flying high.
Hey, it's Mr. Jacq. Cheers.
That's what I'm talking about, man. I'm excited. It's been a while since we've been up in here, so
Yes.
we're gonna have a good session today. And I think, Jim, we got a special guest this evening, don't we?
Yeah,
Yes, we have one of our brunchies, and you know we like to give back to the community, and we have Jacq on the line with us, and she's gonna join us in our discussion today. I'm excited
One time,
about
round of
it.
applause for Jacq.
One time for her.
Can we say Jacq? Jacq, is that French?
Yeah, I feel like that.
Cleo. Ipis.
Hey,
is
how you
French.
doing, Jacq?
Jacqueline, I'm good. How are you guys?
Hey, we're good. We're good.
Hey,
we're
man.
good.
Cool as the other side of the pillow.
So let's get at it.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So we want to talk about emotional intelligence today. You know what I mean? We've talked about this briefly on other episodes, but we want to dig a little deeper. So emotional intelligence is the ability to understand, use, and manage your emotions, your own emotions in a positive way, to not only relieve stress, but to communicate effectively, empathize with others, diffuse conflict. I mean, the uses are endless, but what we want to focus on specifically is the importance of emotional intelligence within your relationship. All right? So let's get right at it. My first question immediately is, do you think emotional intelligence is something that you either have or you don't have? You think it could be something that's a skill that's learned? Because when you really think about the people who struggle with emotional intelligence, I don't know that they ever get any better.
Want to give Jacq an opportunity to answer that first?
Yeah, you probably dealt with a lot of men who lack emotional
And
intelligence.
women, right? So
Oh yeah, and women. Okay, yeah.
Oh no. So here's the thing. I do feel like you can learn. However, I feel like it's one of those tools that you really have to. It has to be self-driven. Somebody else can try to get you there, but it's not anything that anybody else can teach you. You have to want to learn.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
my
yeah.
opinion.
I agree with that. I think, I guess, so I have an answer and then I have a follow-up question. So I think for me, I definitely think it's something, I think it's something that you can improve upon, but I think there has to be a bit of it that's inherent in your personality. Personally, I think, and I think there's two parts of emotional intelligence, right? There is an awareness and an ability, right, to understand what others are going through and kind of how the situation and environment and you interacting with that person will dictate the outcome, right? Positive or negative. And then there's whether or not you give a shit. Right? Yeah. Like there are people that know how things will affect others and for a myriad of reasons don't give a fuck about continuing on the path that they know will have an adverse outcome or reaction from this individual. So, I guess my question is, what's worse, right? A person who doesn't have the level of emotional intelligence that maybe in a friendship or relationship, one feels like they should, or a person who has that competency but refuses to use it or recognize it in their interactions with others.
I don't even know why you wouldn't use it if you had it. I can't imagine a situation where you're aware of someone's feelings or emotions and you choose not to act upon them.
I mean,
so I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah,
about that. Have you ever been in a relationship where people, after many years or interactions with you, should know how things are going to impact you, yet continue to act in a way that's adverse to that?
No, I agree. You're right. But what I'm kind of arguing is that I wonder if they possess that emotional intelligence at all, because I can't imagine them possessing it and not utilizing it in the relationship.
How do you feel about that, Jacq?
I mean, I think it happens more often than not with men. I feel like men have the capacity to do these things and to change behaviors. But I think the give a fuck factor really
comes into
not
play.
there. And
you have an interesting perspective, real quick. Since you dealt with men and women, do you find it that men are more the ones that lack emotional intelligence, or women?
I think every person is different. So I don't want to say like all men are this way and all women are this way. It's not that. It's very much up to the individual. However, is it more likely that men are not emotionally intelligent enough to make a relationship work healthily? I would say so. But are there toxic women out here that do the same shit? Of course.
Definitely.
Like
I agree.
there's both sides of the coins for both coins. So it's really on the person, I think.
I would argue, and this is just my perspective, right? But I would argue that men and women, obviously, anytime we have these conversations, we're speaking generalities, right? Because there's always exceptions to the rule. But I would argue that men and women just inherently see the world differently. And I'll give a quick example without going into too much detail. I was in an argument with a female friend, and really, and kind of told my son and my daughter about this situation. And what happened was my daughter completely agreed with the female's opinion.
Yeah.
And my son, without knowing what my perspective was, without me gassing him up or my daughter up in any situation, just conveying the facts, said literally exactly what I said. And the difference in how they interpreted that situation was very simple. My daughter talked about her feelings and how she felt and all these things, and my son went to the facts of the situation. This is what was said. This is what you can take from what was said. This is what was said means, and therefore here's how you should react to what was said. And my daughter dug into the meaning around all those words. And I think, generally speaking, that's what men and women do. I think women, I saw a skit where the woman goes, women are always talking about, well, if he just did this, if he just did that. And it was almost like, you want him to think like a woman.
Yeah.
He's not a woman.
Yeah.
So is he emotionally unintelligent, or you emotionally unintelligent by not recognizing that you want a zebra to be a fucking lion, or vice versa?
But let's even dig into that even further. Like, I think it fundamentally starts from when you're a child, and we talk about it all the time. A young boy is going to be told not to act soft, that he should be stoic, that he should be still in himself, that he should be grounded and anchored, and that is what he should be displaying all the time. Where a young girl is going to be taught to tap into her emotions in a different way than what a young boy is. So I think inherently it starts.
I don't even know that we teach that as much as
it's not. It's behavioral.
I don't know that we teach that per se.
No, I don't think it's taught, but I think behaviorally that is what we're passing down unintentionally most times. I'm not saying that we have, because I think in certain ways, I think we have tapped into a different understanding as times have changed, and who we are as men can be demonstrated differently. But I think that's where it kind of starts, and it just migrates and festers into something else, right?
Let me ask you this then, Jacq. You said you feel that men tend to be more the ones that lack the emotional intelligence. If men are leading with logic more times than none, and women are leading with emotion, wouldn't it technically mean that a man would more likely be emotionally intelligent because he's coming with logic and facts and not going off the whim of his feelings in that moment?
No, because emotional intelligence is the ability to use your emotions
Intelligently, though.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying logic is not emotional. And so what you're saying is, are apples and oranges the same thing? No, I mean, are they both fruit? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I understand what you're getting at, but I do agree with Jen. Like, I think that men, most of the men in this generation, have been taught that, like, when something hurts or when you're upset about something, suck it up, don't cry. Like, you know what I'm saying? The daughters were always treated differently. It was like, you have to man up, shake it off, like, let's go. And girls are not raised that way.
So say that men had to be raised that way so they could, be tough and build that fortitude for life. would it not be on the women that they're dating and dealing with later on in life to show them, hey, it's okay to be vulnerable, it's okay to open up and show your emotions more? But I kind of feel like men are judged when we share too much and when we open up and we seem too vulnerable, and a woman will say, yeah, that nigga soft, you know.
I disagree with all of that, though.
Yeah,
I disagree with what
I
she said and what you said. Like, I think two things. I think, first of all, I think personally, once again, my perspective, I think the last generation of men, in my opinion, to be raised in that, oh, you can't show emotion, you have to be stoic, you have to be, was like my father.
Yeah.
Like, my father didn't raise me that way. My father, he didn't say, yeah, go cry every time you feel hurt either. But my point is, it was never like, if I felt a certain way, my dad was never like, oh, you're soft if you feel that way. Like I didn't raise my son like that. I wasn't raised like that. I also don't think it's a woman's responsibility to tell a grown ass man it's okay for him to feel. Yeah. I think the bottom line is this. I do think, to Jim's earlier point, I think generally speaking, I think there is there are social roles in the way that men and women act in civilization. I think that is quickly becoming a blurred fucking line.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I
think
agree.
That's changing. And I think this generation of these teenagers and 20-somethings now, that's completely different. I mean, they're super in touch. But I don't necessarily think that it's a woman's responsibility to do that, man. Like, no more than I want to date a grown-ass woman and have to teach her how to use her feelings. Like, I'm not... At this point in my life, I'm not in the teaching game.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to mold no chicks. I'm not trying to do none of that. You got to have your goddamn life together so we can do some stuff together. But I'm not here to fix you. I'm not fixing nobody. I'm saying arts and crafts.
I actually second that. No, I agree. I've been at a point in life where I do kind of think a lot of women go into relationships thinking, I have to fix him. I have to make him be able to talk to me. And I'm under the belief of, if he wanted to, he would. So I don't, I'll tell you once, I will ask you once. And after I tell you and after I ask you, I feel like at that point, I'm not begging anybody to talk about anything, to be open with me, to anything.
Save for the brothers in the back.
And I don't disagree with you. However, do you think that it's partly your responsibility to be able to pick up on emotional cues from your partner? So, hey, you see that something's wrong with him, and yes, maybe he hasn't said anything. Ideally, they should directly communicate, but maybe there's something that happened throughout the day where you were a part of that you're just not paying attention to, so that you could have really spoken to and helped him out in those situations. Like, is it not your job as a partner to pay attention on that level so that everything doesn't have to be communicated? You just, earlier I saw this, I could tell it really affected you. How do you feel? You know, is that asking too much of your partner or what?
I don't think it's asking too much from a partner to expect that they can read you on some sort of emotional level. However, that is something that is gained through time with someone.
Yeah, I would definitely double down on that. Yep.
So for me, if we are not at that point where you know that I can understand and read what's going on in the room and how it's affecting you, if you know that I'm not at that point, you need to open your mouth. It's not my responsibility to read your mind. It's not my responsibility to make adjustments to give you a handicap when you should be opening your mouth.
Yes.
And I don't disagree with you on that. But have you ever dated someone and even from the very beginning, you seem to be able to just pick up on things when they're bothered, when, you know what I mean? Something came off wrong.
I honestly think that it just takes time. Like in the very beginning, you got to be more vocal so that someone can learn you, because they're not going to pick up on those things. I mean, I've dated someone and, I go through bouts of depression. Full transparency, sometimes I take meds. I took meds for a long time. And you wouldn't be able to tell my real low until you kind of knew me, right? And you wouldn't pick up on the subtle differences until time has elapsed for you to be able to learn me in a certain way without me being open and expressive. So I think time is a big part of it, but in the very beginning, you got to help them with the blueprint initially, but at some point someone should be able to know you, and in some ways proactively sense something's wrong and then pivot after time. Like,
you don't think emotional intelligence can bridge the gap?
I mean, unless you're a fucking empath, you know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just,
like,
in my experience, you can meet someone recently and you can pick up on, hey, we're having a conversation about this, and this comes up, and you can see something body language wise, something they say that
if you're attentive, like, not everyone is like y'all. Like, not everyone has the ability to have insight and study people. Like, both of us were sociology majors, right? So at the end of the day, the study of people, man, that's kind of inherent for us. That's our passion behind what we do, right? So that's a little bit different for us. It's not everyone though.
What you said. So this goes back. So I hear what you're saying, and this goes back to what I initially said about the ability and the capacity to understand how others are feeling and pick up on kind of what you're talking about, and then that the person who has that skill and that ability, their desire to act on it either way. Like, for instance, and maybe I'm a prick. No, I am a prick sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. But
facts.
For me, it's like in anything in my life, I do.
The big facts took me out.
But it did. But I don't. So, for instance, I am big on verbal communication. Facts. I don't like subtle clues. I don't like that. Yo, tell me what is important to you. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you need. There's no ambiguity. Women have a tendency, not all, right, and generally speaking, have a tendency to imply things subtly. Oh, you couldn't tell from the fact that I fucking blinked 17 times yesterday that I didn't like that. No, bitch. You could have just said I don't like that, and we would have avoided all of this. So in those situations, I may pick up on something, and I say to myself, I'm not going to let on that I know
you're not going to feed
way.
into it.
You got to be, because otherwise,
one could argue.
But this is what I'm talking. This is the prime example. Otherwise, I'm supporting. If I pick up and then act on clues that you haven't communicated to me, when my preferred form of interaction is verbal communication, then I am implicitly supporting a form of communication that I don't fuck with. Right. So
you're like Denzel in Training Day. You training this chick, basically.
If you want to be with me,
because
you can sense the shift in your relationship. I think that you can get in the car with your partner and tell, man, I can tell something ain't right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but we're trained to actually do that. Why is it fair that a woman can put that out in generalities, right? Can put that out and expect us to react, and in sense, we can't expect the same thing as well, right? I
actually do expect it.
So that's what you think.
I find myself like, damn, this hoe can't tell. Like, obviously, I'm not being me. I'm not the same. I don't have the same vibe. So I do think that we should be able to sense the shift in the relationship. And, oh, man, I can tell something's off. You're not going to know what. But I don't think it's wrong to say, hey, what's going on? I can tell you off. And I've learned that chicks like that shit. And they do want you to push a little bit and say, hey, what's good? And like, nothing, hey, stop that shit. And then she tells you everything.
I would say, yeah, listen. So
that toxic behavior.
No. But like, I don't necessarily disagree with you. It's like I end up saying here, because, there's shit about me that just, I guess, is anomalous, right? Yeah. But like, the person who's for me ain't gonna operate that way. Wow. You feel me? Yeah. So like, a chick that needs me to push and prod a little bit to really get out of her what she's feeling, we're not gonna be in a relationship. Because that shit ain't gonna work for me. But I don't disagree with what you're saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you think it's your partner's responsibility to check you when you're mishandling their emotions, or do you think they should just self-check themselves?
Jacq?
No, I think communication is key. And if somebody is triggering emotions for you that you need something to change, it is your job to say that. Yeah. Like, it's your job to say, hey, I'm not okay with this. Because no one else can change their behavior if you don't say what you need. If you need something from me to have a healthy relationship with me, I need you to be able to say that to me too.
Man, come on, man.
It needs to be said out of love.
Out here?
Like, no, I'm just saying, a lot of
simple
people
though.
A lot of people don't get it though. Like, it's like, because there is a lot of toxic, like how you were saying, like, you should, read this and read that. Well, first of all, communication styles, we've already touched on that. That's like super important.
Yep.
The way that you communicate is going to make or break you. And so if you say something and your partner is not used to you saying something, then they don't know how to react. They don't know how to
talk about that.
We're basically setting the tone.
Verbal cues.
Right.
Let's talk about those verbal cues. I think sometimes we get them and we ignore them, right? So you ask your girl, "Hey, we fucking tonight?" You know what I'm saying? I don't know. However you broach that system.
That's direct.
I like the direct
I like
approach.
that as well.
I like confirmation that,
That's how I operate.
But if your girl, no, but exactly, right? But say your girl says, "Sure, that's fine." Verbal cue to me says,
I'm like, so you don't want to fuck?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, not me.
So
That's a yes.
You just gonna still you just
a lot of men will take it like that. Maybe a lot of women. But I'm one of those people that are weird. It's fine. Sure. Okay.
It's easy. So do
those
you
cues tell me something's wrong?
When you fuck, is it emotional for you, or is it not,
sometimes
or is it functional?
Yeah, sometimes it's both, right? And I think that's for most adults. But here's what I'm going to say to that. This is another example. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I know that's not a resounding yes. I'm so excited to fuck.
No enthusiasm there.
But in my head, I'm like, but we fucking
yes.
though.
Yeah.
So like, when I get this dick in you, you're gonna enjoy it.
1 + 1 = 2. But
you know, and maybe so. But I've had experiences where, she'll do it, but it's more obligatory because obviously emotionally something's holding her back, and she didn't say it, and because you never pushed to inquire about it, it's like I'm here, but I'm not here.
See where D will push through right here. I'll be like, man, fuck it. I'll have my own. I'll have my fuck it moment. Don't worry about it.
But this is what
turn off for me.
This is what Jacq was talking about.
That's a turn off for me too.
Yeah.
Listen, but in my opinion, this goes back to a previous point that was made, which is open your fucking mouth. Like, here's the thing. I know that there might be something listen, it's just a fundamental difference on how we approach relationships. Yeah. I'm not pushing through. You got two fucking lips, a tongue. Talk to me. Yeah. Say, hey, look, I agree. I don't have any problem, but I do got something on my mind, and I really got to get this off my chest. I respect that, because then I'm not thinking about fucking no more. I'm like, yo, when I get home, let's go on on your patio, let's pour a drink, let's roll something up, let's talk. But you got to talk to me. I'm not no fucking fisherman. I'm not looking for the prize. You got to tell me what you want, and then you have to give me a reasonable opportunity to provide what you want and what you need in relationships. But if I got to provide what you want, what you need, and I got to go find all that shit out myself, it seems relatively one-sided.
Let me ask you this question, Jacq. Is it not safe to say that nonverbal cues are in fact communication? Hey, you say something and she rolls her eyes, or she gives a funny look. Is she not indicating some type of displeasure with what you said? Is that not
body language is a big part of communication?
The answer to that question is yes.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Jacq.
No, I definitely do agree. So to come back, because I forgot how crazy you guys are with the subjects. Yeah. No, okay. So about the sex thing, enthusiasm is important. If it's not an enthusiastic yes, we are not doing anything. Because to me, especially from a woman's point of view, if I have to ask you, period, if we're fucking, we're already on the wrong track. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel like I should, especially if we're not in like a very long-term monogamous relationship, I should not be having to. I should not.
That question comes from somebody we've been together for a while. Hey, listen, man, we fucking tonight or not?
Yeah.
Like, it's
you know what I'm saying? Okay,
no,
if you're the only person I'm fucking and you're the only person I'm fucking, and I want to be fucked, I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna be like, listen, I know you had a 2-a-day workout today, and you done worked all day. And
you did legs. I don't give a fuck.
Whatever. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. But
let me ask you a quick question on another tangent, based on what you said.
Ahead.
Is it your responsibility to say yes to your partner at all times and never deny them of sex?
That's just not realistic.
If nothing is wrong with you physically, right? Nothing's wrong with you emotionally. Should you always say yes?
Well, if nothing's wrong with you physically or emotionally, then why wouldn't you fuck them?
You took out everything.
I don't know.
Go ahead, Jacq.
Here's my answer to that. I have lived that life. Obviously, you all know me, but I've been married before. And in that marriage, it was very much expected that we were doing the Christian thing and we were each other's, and that was it. So anytime we wanted it, which was every day, it was happening. Whether or not I was in the mood, nothing, like it was happening. So I've lived the life of never denying my spouse.
Good girl.
I personally have too much of a high sex drive to ever say no.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily that I've ever like not been in the mood or anything like that. Yeah. But in another instance, have I ever been so mad that I don't want you to fucking touch me?
Yeah. We've all been there.
Like, if I'm like upset with you and you are like not the person I want to be seeing right now, no, I don't want your dick in me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that's
the only position girl can have.
I thought it was gonna make everything better. I thought it was gonna make everything better.
I mean, sometimes it does. Sometimes, you know, the mad, you know, like we're working it out.
That's really why I want to have sex in that moment. I want to bless you. I want us to be okay. And you know, the dick is gonna give you that.
I've had moments where I said, okay, I want to let's have sex, and I've gotten the like that like right now feeling, like right now.
She probably said it like
and it's so funny because you talking about communication. I will immediately be like, okay, that's fair, but you know,
you and your feelings.
I'll be like, you know it.
You know it.
But now I'm calm.
Now,
but now I'm calm though, so I don't really just do it like that. But I would be like, okay, so if is that what we're doing? Because the reality is, anytime that you want it, you're getting it. So let me know from now on, because going forward, I'm gonna be fetty. Going forward, like if you want it, then I'm giving it, and I ask you, and you're not giving it, then like, hey, it's not.
Men give dick when we're not in the mood all the time.
All the time.
1,000%.
You think we want to fuck your ass all the time? I saw you yesterday.
But I said I'm not doing it on your terms. Right. So next time you come to me and ask me, I'm gonna be like, nah, because when I ask you, you need to train. Yeah. Like, so you got to do what I'm asking.
She been walking around the house in that dirty house shirt.
Yeah,
man, all day looking like shit. And she like, hey, come get this pussy. Dog, and you don't make that face, but in your mind you're like, damn, girl, I don't even. Thinking about fucking your ass.
No, straight up.
You look like my mama right now.
Little net. Listen, here's the thing, man. Like at this point, you can.
No, seriously though, you know, a woman being attractive at home. Being attractive at home, ladies, is so important. So important. I don't care what you wear at home. You just can't look raggedy.
That's it.
Like
all the time. Raggedy.
Like, dude, you can be simple and cute, man. They got a lot of nice clothes and Target and shit to dress up at the house because, dog, we have to look at you all day. And that shit kills me when they at the house just not trying. And then they expect you to look at them like, you're not looking at me, you don't see me. No, bitch, you look ugly right now. You know what I'm saying?
I see you is the problem. I see you is the problem.
Oh, man. That's tough.
I just had to add that in there.
Let's move along.
All right.
It's a solid point.
Okay, so I want to talk about it from another perspective, too. Emotional intelligence can help contribute to you making wise decisions in the partner that you choose, right?
Say that one more time for me.
Emotional intelligence contributes to you making a wise decision about the relationships that you choose to enter.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, facts.
So the first thing that came up was astute emotional awareness to avoid mistaking infatuation or lust for lasting love. I think that a lot of men lack the emotional intelligence.
Just to decipher, like between one or the other.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like that's some simp shit if you can't really understand that.
I think that happens with women much more than it happens with men.
I was going to correct.
Yeah, I think women. I mean, I was watching something yesterday.
A good dream too.
Yeah, man. It was like, it was a clip on one of these social media platforms, but it was a group of women, and the moderator was a man, and he was talking about the fact that women think that because a man is physical with them, that he has some interest in a relationship or a certain level of respect for her. No, not at all. Men will fuck women that they think are ugly, that they think would never fit what they're really looking for, that they would never have a relationship with, that they would never tell their friends or family about, every day, all the time, everywhere in the world. Yeah. So what happens is a lot of these women go, well, I can get any man. Though men always in my DMs and da-da-da.
I hate when people say that.
That doesn't mean,
it don't mean anything.
That he would claim you in public or make you his woman. It doesn't mean that. And so I think women mistake the lust of men, for love and interest very, very
And I
often.
don't think that's their fault. I think that men in the beginning, we're very good at laying it on thick.
We love bomb.
And we
Yeah.
sell a beautiful dream early, you know, and this is why I've always preached consistency. It matters the world to me. But for women, if a nigga's not consistent with his actions, I mean, you could be a jump off.
I mean, do you not put bait on a hook if you're gonna fish? Like
saying,
real talk,
you know
you gonna find the most attractive lure
Yeah.
out this bitch.
I do think you're right.
Yeah,
Women
I mean-
definitely- would you agree with that, Jacq?
I do, but
Oh,
the
yeah.
most attractive lures usually come with strings that you don't want to be attached to.
Yeah.
So
Explain that. Break that down a little bit more.
No, she's not talking about you.
I know.
Well, how you guys?
Jesus have mercy.
No, just how you guys were saying. Like, I mean, it's all about lust at first. I mean, there's not. You don't instantly love somebody. You don't instantly like. You have to get to know somebody to really feel those emotions. And when you're first meeting somebody, it's the excitement. It's like it's
Nothing like that
lust.
feeling.
Like it's that's what it is. It's the excitement of the new thing. And so when you do finally get into that situation where, okay, let's say you do bed her or whatever, and then now she's
Not bed
thinking
her,
this is
no,
a
it's
romantic
1960.
situation.
Yeah.
Colored.
You know what I mean? Like she's thinking this is a romantic thing, and that
Yeah.
you're like wanting, to like
Especially,
commit or, like,
especially
you
Jet
know.
too, Jacq, because he'll take you out, he'll wine you, dine you,
Rub
You'll-
your feet,
you'll tell him-
suck your toes.
No, seriously, you'll be
lick
like,
your
I've never done this before, and
earlobes.
Jen'll make it happen on the first date. You know what I'm saying? Like that nigga's so attentive. Now you think this nigga loves you, and he's like, just like first dates. You know what I mean?
God damn, why are you putting me out
Let
like
me put up a
this?
caveat to that though.
That's true though.
I've been in situations in my life where I've met somebody and initially it was physical, right? I'm like, there's that carnal, that primal attraction, and then maybe we go out on an initial date, we talk a little bit, spend a couple times, a few days, we spend some time together, and I go, damn, I had just really intended on this being this, and I just realized this motherfucker dope as fuck.
Yeah.
And sometimes I may not have been in a position in my life to explore that, and so I didn't even go through with the lust part because my level of interest in this person was so great that I didn't want to cheapen it by just that person being another individual I fucked.
That to me is emotional intelligence
At its
by
best,
definition. To be able to see past your desires and your wants and intelligently make a decision for both people that's gonna benefit you all. Because man, imagine you, right? She's falling for you, but I'm not gonna really be what
Can't
she
give you what
needs
you want,
me to be.
right?
That's emotionally
It is-
fair.
it is
That's
so
all it is.
Intelligent of
Yeah.
you to back off emotionally and say, "Hey, you're dope, but I ain't it." You know what I mean? But so many niggas don't have that, and they string them along, and that's what creates
Fear.
this bitterness in women. Yeah, man, and that resentment. So I think it's very emotionally intelligent to be able to be around someone dope and say, "Hey, as much as you are everything I could have imagined, I didn't see you coming. I'm not ready for this right now." You know what I mean? It's
Facts.
not where I'm at.
Facts.
You ever been done like that, Jacq?
Yes, I mean, I have had people string me along when they can't give me what I want and need from a relationship. And I feel like that's normal at this age to kind of have dealt with something like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Several times for most women in their lives.
I think, I do
so.
think women deal with it a lot more than men do
Yeah.
as far as stringing along.
Yeah.
But I think that's also because when women are done, it's like there's no faking the funk. Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
no like, hey, everything's fine.
Unless the
Like
dick was
let's
good.
fuck on Tuesday
Yeah.
and act like, we're good and go do our out to dinner and all of that and be completely okay. Men tend to do that because
Not to sound
it's
cocky.
easy, I think.
Not to sound cocky, but I don't know that I've ever been strung along. And if so, she did a
Nah.
very good job of hiding it. I just
Yeah.
don't know that I've ever. I feel like you would know
I do.
if you are being strung along.
Yeah, because
No.
we're very because we're very. Jen, we gonna get to you.
Yeah.
But you special. We gonna talk about
No,
you.
you ain't gonna keep putting me
but
out
we,
here
no,
like
but you are though.
that.
You're a little
It's
different
just
than we are. But because we are very deliberate, I think you and I are in what we not only what we want in a relationship and in a friendship, whatever that is, right? But not just what we want, what we require
Facts.
and what we will not deal with.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the thing, right? is she can say she's stringing you along, but as long as you feel like you're getting what you want from that relationship, regardless of what her intentions are, she's not stringing you along because the relationship is of benefit to you. The stringing along happens when you are giving of yourself, of your time, of your body for a hope of a return that never materializes, right? And you continue to do so in hope of that fleeting return, right? Or that pie in the sky. And so I think that's the difference. If it ever gets to a point where I feel like I'm giving more and I'm not getting what I need, I'm like, this shit ain't worth it. I'm like, I'm out.
I'm gone so fast, that shit ain't even funny.
That's it.
You would have wondered if I ever cared about you. Bitch.
Facts.
Like, it's crazy.
Facts. Now,
So
Jen,
go ahead,
talk
Jen.
to us.
You've been
Tell
us about the time you
No,
been.
no,
I mean,
so we
I
made
was
teasers. We wanna
I was
hear
a
this.
young
We're not used to
man,
it.
but no,
No, facts.
I was strung along in college once before, and to be honest with you, it was more the blind side of not really knowing what's going on in the background. And sometimes if you feel like, dog, this chick deserves me in a way because maybe I didn't want her initially, and she's here and now she got me. I've blessed her with my presence and time, and all of a sudden you feel like you're holding this level of power and not understanding what could be happening in the background. I think this also happens a lot with placeholders. Like if you're a dude, right, and this chick is just using you as a placeholder, but you have legitimate feelings, but she's just buying time until she find the right situation. Yeah. You're being strung along regardless of whether you feel like you're being strung along or not. And she could be giving you giving you what you want until she finds the next thing.
But listen, at the end of the day, so two things. First of all, that's on you, right? Like you gotta tighten your fucking antenna to pick up on shit, right? Because nobody's 100% tight all the time.
Agreed.
That's the first thing. The second thing is this. That's the cost to play the game, right?
It is.
Like you can't be like, I want to go on a roller coaster, but I don't want to tinkle on myself at all. Like you might tinkle on yourself, you might throw up, you might get nauseous. Yeah. So there's no reward without risk, right? Every time you go into a relationship with somebody, you hope a number of things, right? The least of which is that they're being honest and genuine with you, that they are who they say they are, and that their intentions with you or towards you are what they present them to be. And if they turn out not to be, I don't know that every time they turn out not to be that's stringing along, because I think there's an intentionality behind stringing somebody along. I also think there are certain situations that can be perceived by one party as being strung along, and on the other side, motherfuckers just change their mind.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that shit where you fall out. Like, fallout is natural. There's fallout with everything you do in life. Like, so I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about, there's chicks that, what do you think, like a lot of these rebound women or a rebound man or whatever the case may be, where they know they just trying to get they tip wet back in the situation, right? And to be honest with you, they ain't really ready to be back out there. They trying to figure out what's good for them now in this new chapter of their life. There's a lot of different components of that, and they'll just have a dude, and dude might be real fucking interested, and in their mind they know the first dude ain't gonna be the dude.
No, but that's my point though.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Right. When someone's interested and when they're not. Right. And that's
dude. There's gonna be people who's gonna disagree with you on that front. Like you don't like none. Like no, that doesn't mean that you're emotionally. That doesn't mean that I don't think that you're emotionally retarded if you don't understand.
What I didn't say
after
retarded.
This, ask Jacq what her opinion is.
If I'm not communicating, if I'm not reaching out, if I'm a man and I'm sending text messages and she's responding hours later, the next day, if I'm saying, hey, we should link up. Right. If I invite you out once and you say, hey, this not going to work, I'm going to try once more and say, hey, what about this?
But that's not what I'm actually saying. But all right. But,
well, I'm not saying that you are, but I'm saying that the things that you do, that how you communicate will let you know whether or not someone's interested, and you never have to
that's fair.
go further than you
that's
need
fine.
to. You know what I mean?
Jacq, what you say? What's the word, Jacq? What you feel about that?
I mean, it's kind of the whole, like, if he wanted to, he would. I feel like it's the same in reverse. Like, if you have a woman that really loves you, do you know what I mean? Like, she's willing to put in.
Yeah.
Okay. Either way.
Same thing.
So if you have a woman that like really fucks with you, right? She's going to want to be there for you in every way that she can. You know what I mean? Like, she's going to want to be there for you emotionally. She's going to want to be there for you physically. She's going to want to make sure that she's making your life a little bit easier or
I
more
agree with all
fun
this.
or whatever the thing that you're lacking in your life. She's going to want to bring that to you. And usually the way that healthy couples work is that something that you are lacking, you find in a partner, and something they are lacking, they find in you. So
For sure.
it's usually a perfect fit. But if nobody's willing to communicate on that, or nobody's willing to make changes to make sure that the other person is happy and that you guys are thriving in the actual relationship, then I mean, there is no emotional intelligence on either side.
Yeah.
I want to talk about arguing for a bit, just problems. I think a part of emotional intelligence also is the ability to handle arguments and disagreements and just how you view them. I've always viewed arguments as an opportunity for us to get closer. I've never viewed them like, man, this is really bad. This is going to ruin us. I always say this is a moment where we can understand each other and get closer. Do you view things like that, Jacq? Maybe we all can answer that question. Be real with yourself. Do you view arguments and problems as an opportunity to get closer, or do you look at them just as that, a problem?
It depends on my partner, to be very honest, because some partners are not receptive to arguments being constructive.
Yeah.
And so when one energy is trying to be constructive and trying to like grow through something, and that's why you're arguing, and the other person is trying to be combative with you, and they're just trying to win the argument or win the whatever it is that is happening, then at that point, it's no longer, I cannot, with the second, I will match energy very quickly. So
I'm the same way.
If you're not fucking with me, then I'm not fucking with you neither.
We're all hot heads, apparently.
So,
no cool heads over here.
My thing is, I feel like when I bring stuff up, or when I'm like not wanting to argue, but when I'm dealing with a conflict or something with a partner, I feel like I am able to calmly, hey, like, let's have a conversation about this. If you're not willing to engage in that, that's cool. But now I know. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, I feel like you can say all day long, but show me. Show me that you're willing to work through it. Show me that when I bring a problem to you, that you're willing to work on it, or at least have a conversation with me of like, hey, you know, maybe this is a problem right now and I can't change it right now, but maybe in a year or 2 or 5 or whatever, you're going to have exactly what you want. So to me, in a long-term relationship where you're actually trying to be emotionally intelligent with someone, you're growing no matter what. So are you growing together or are you growing apart?
Fair.
That's what this is really about.
I think that's part of, I think what you just explained ideally is a part of what makes healthy relationships, right? So like what I like was what you said about it depends on who your partner is, right? Because I don't even like the term arguments, right? Like disagreements is a real word, right? And discussions and disagreements, right? Because my thing is, I'm not for arguing for argument's sake. So like if you just want to argue emotionally, you're not really interested in considering the facts of the situation and how we can get on the other side of this, then I'm not talking to you. Like I'm not talking to you.
Even though you know how that women lead with emotion. Like
I don't care about none of that. Okay. Yeah, not the ones I deal with. Yeah. You got to be different with me, or you're not with me. So
facts.
So my thing is, I'm more than happy to sit down and have a conversation with you about what you feel. But since you are a fucking adult, I've said this in relationships, I need you to use your words, right? Because
I'm talking to a child.
No, you just got my point. Because that's how I've raised my freaking children. My daughter and my son the same. When you have a problem with something, when you're concerned about something, that's not when you fucking cuddle the cocoon around yourself and go into your fucking hole, because that doesn't solve the problem.
Correct.
You have to use your words. You have to communicate, because that's how the fuck people know what and how to do with you. So my point is, in those situations where we're having conversations, I can't be in a relationship with a person that isn't capable of having adult conversations about the things that are bothering them. Yeah. Because otherwise, you just mad. You should know better. That's the shit that doesn't work for me. Yeah. And there's no improvement on my part because you can't effectively communicate. And there's no improvement on your part because you can't fucking listen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree
So-
with you. I think my point on fighting is, I believe it's passion on just being laid out, right? And I don't have an issue with two people getting passionate about something as long as they're able to redirect it towards a outcome that works for both people, right? Yeah. And I've been with someone who has zero passion, very logical, and the absence of the passion sets me the fuck off, right? Because I can be logical and passionate at the same time.
No doubt.
And sometimes that can shut communication down because we approach the fight differently. Yeah. Right? Yeah, so you got to be cognizant of that when you're thinking about an argument. And so you either I'm going to curtail my passion so that I can communicate, or she needs to step up a little bit of passion to show that it even matters to her in some sense. So that's how I feel about it.
I feel that.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think we have to remember that being in a relationship doesn't mean that we're never gonna be unhappy with our partner, that we're never gonna be angry with them, that we're never gonna feel disappointed with their actions. I think we have to remember that, and that's a part of being emotionally intelligent as well, knowing that this feeling I have right now is not how I ultimately feel about you. It's just how I feel right now.
In the moment.
Yeah. And if we don't focus on that, you'll let something small and minuscule turn into something big and fester and maybe ruin the relationship.
That's it's so funny you say it, because I've said in arguments, so like check this out. I vehemently disagree with you. I think you're looking at this all wrong, and I still love you. Yeah. And I really like you. And you're wrong, and so we
all at the same time, bro.
Because you have to throw the wrong in there 2-3 times.
Because of Jeezy's point, I think particularly with some of the women that I've dealt with, right? So I won't say all, because we'll get in the comments. I don't do that, but it's like, I can argue with you as a man. I can argue with you passionately to Jit's point, my point, logically argue and passionately argue about why I feel like you're wrong and why you're not considering this. And that's not a referendum on how I think about you as a person.
As a person. Oh, right? Shit, take the feelings
emotionally
out right
and feeling,
there. Yeah.
Right. This is just about this moment. Yeah. And I found that with a lot of women that I've had relationships with, that is very difficult for them to separate.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you think I'm this, or you must think I'm stupid. No, I think you're wrong about this thing. But if I thought you were stupid, we wouldn't be in a relationship, would we?
Yeah.
So
good point, man.
All right, so we want to end on a positive note. So I found
positive notes.
Yes, indeed. So I found some ways to love smart, so where you can implement this emotional intelligence into your relationship.
I like tips. All right.
Number 1, let your lover know what you feel. If you're going to communicate anything, express what you feel as it defines who you are.
Church.
If you pretend to be someone or something you're not, you'll never feel loved.
So you basically saying take out the fake eyelashes, the fake hair?
No, because that's not going anywhere.
Damn.
They even got the little kids wearing the fake eyelashes.
No.
They do.
Okay.
They looking like butterflies about to fly away and shit. You know what I'm saying? But I do like it, though. I think that a lot of times in relationships, especially early, we tend to put forth a facade of who we are and not really be our truest selves because, we want to sell the product. Yeah. But I think we set ourselves up for failure in the long run.
When you start acting up.
Not even acting up, but just once your real self
drop
shows,
your shield.
It's like, oh, this is who you are. That's not what I saw 2 months ago, and now he's gonna reevaluate, or she.
Unless you're just super dope and who you are is just dope all the time.
For real. But in that case, then you didn't even need to hide shit.
Hey, man, I'm speaking for the people in the back. It ain't for me.
It's easy.
It ain't for me.
It's easy. All right, when in doubt, ask. Love doesn't grant that you'll know everything. If you don't ask how your lover feels about something, you'll never know.
Communication.
Yeah,
I agree, but let me not only just ask, because sometimes they're gonna tell you how they feel about something.
What you gonna say, but read their minds?
No, I'm gonna say, man, there's so much power in why. Why do you feel like that? Because I can't do anything with that surface level shit.
Yeah, man.
I can't
I like that.
adjust my freaking behaviors and come up with a tactical plan so that I can resolve anything if I do not understand root cause.
You might be disappointed though with that.
That's
question,
fine,
because a lot of times you ask her why, she be like, I don't know, I just feel it.
No, but you know what? But that doesn't remove the usefulness and the genuineness of that approach. I fuck with that. I like that
too.
I like
too. All right, be
Appreciate you.
prepared to
I'm out
work at the relationship. Why do so many people believe their work is done once they found love? Relationships grow and thrive with attention and wither and die of neglect.
Listen, they say that. So like 51% of all marriages now end in divorce.
Yeah.
And I forgot I didn't do the research on this because we weren't talking about divorce specifically, but there is an alarmingly high occurrence of divorce once married couples become empty nesters.
Yeah.
Once that last kid gets to college or leaves the house,
Lost all
I
motivation.
can feel that though.
Right.
Lost all motivation.
right? Because what's happened is you've your life, right? Your life for the past 18 to 27 years, depending on how many kids you have, has revolved around activities and school projects and rearing kids and raising good citizens. And so now you realize when the kids leave the house and you got all that time you don't have right now, you got it all back. Let me tell you something. Motherfuckers with kids, teenagers and kids in school right now, dog, you think like there's not enough time in the day. When them kids leave your house, you can be like, man, this day been long as fuck.
Long. Yeah.
Dog, there's so many hours. You realize the motherfucker that you were at 40 was not the same motherfucker at 22.
That's facts.
So
You may realize that you need a replacement.
Yeah.
And in that moment too.
I just think that we all get lazy
new body kit
in
on it.
relationships.
A new body kit.
Yeah.
Well, that could. Yeah.
body kids out here, if you don't die, they looking real good.
Don't do that, man. Hey, shout out to DC Young
Yeah, and
Fly
his wife.
and
3 kids.
his
No, it's not his
girlfriend.
partner,
I think
yeah.
it was-
3
yeah,
kids.
man,
3
it's
kids.
sad, man. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna make no comments about it.
Nah,
you know what
man.
I'm
She
saying?
had a body
But
to die
she-
for, though.
She did.
Well, you dead wrong for that one.
And I tell you, he's definitely leaning into a spirituality, man, right now, and that's the only thing that's going to take him through. So definitely shout out to him.
And
man.
I'm not mad at all this movement of the surgery life because, you know, that seems to be the thing. But I try to encourage people to just try to go for it naturally, you know.
Or use your own fat and just move from your stomach to your ass.
I mean, we don't know really
that way
what
it's
she
still
was
jiggle.
doing. It's just, I just hate the surgery if you think you can do it.
Yeah.
But I also know that everyone's story isn't the
That's
same.
another topic.
And
We're gonna talk
sometimes
about
you have to. So maybe we got to do that.
talk about
physical
plastic surgery and all that
attraction
stuff,
thing
and
one-
men and
one
women. We
of
should
these
do
days.
that for sure.
Facts. All right, learn from your lover. Active awareness keeps you from relying on past assumptions. And this is what you talked about, you know, just evolving in your relationship. You know what I mean? Just evolving in your relationship. Watch out for emotional memories, emotional remainders of the past hurt, and are most dangerous with those we love today.
You mean the triggers? What do you feel about that, Jacq? What do you feel
I
about
know
the
you
triggers?
got some triggers, Jacq. I know you do.
I mean, honestly, I have been problematic to the point where I did have a lot of triggers because obviously, like I said, I've been married before.
Yeah, man.
I've been, in domestically violent situations. There's a lot of things where, somebody else is human. You know what I mean? Like, they're bringing their baggage in. There's trauma always. Like, whether or not you've had a great life or whether you've had a horrible life, something traumatic has happened to you where you were changed and affected by it. So I don't know. I mean, for me personally, I feel like,
I just feel like if you're going to be in that relationship and you want to take this person as their selves, their whole self, you have to understand what those triggers are. I like having those conversations.
Do you embrace that baggage?
If you really see her more than just her baggage, because sometimes the baggage is so much that you can't see anything more than the baggage. Yeah. But if you can see,
I'm a carry-on guy.
Yeah, you want just enough to put on the overhead.
Drawstring.
I know, I feel you, right? So like, if it's enough for you to be able to see over and really identify her for her. Just be cognizant and understand what that baggage is and understand those triggers because it is essential for health. I mean, the relationship.
When I think about emotional intelligence, I don't care if she has baggage per se, but I don't want her baggage to affect what we have going on right now. Mm-hmm. So the way I feel about that is I don't give a fuck about your baggage. But if you're letting it be an issue now, then I'm straight on you. You know what I mean? I'm not about to sit here and help you work through your past shit. I think we all have to do our own work on ourselves. And then when we're ready to, dive into a relationship and be open to one or whatever have you. But
sure.
I don't want to be the person trying to help you through your past trauma and shit. Get a therapist, bitch.
Well,
On that note,
well, there it go then.
we appreciate y'all.
For real, man. So that was the last one, man. That's the last one we have for y'all. You know what I'm saying?
And look, Jacq, we're gonna release you to your wonderful evening because you look like you got some place fun to be.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Not as
I'm
fun
here.
as us, but
I'm literally sitting in the parking lot talking to y'all. It's like just now starting. I'm about to go.
we appreciate y'all. We appreciate you,
Have
Jacq.
Have fun. You
Have a
look
good
good too.
time.
Rock
girl.
out.
You
Yeah,
look
you
good.
do. Yeah, you do.
do.
Rock out.
Teeth
Get fucked
popping
tonight.
too. I
Oh
see
yeah.
you.
Get that dick tonight. Yeah.
No, listen, I'm doing the things that you're talking about. I'm literally like, I'm in therapy. I'm like working on some things.
Yeah.
Like I'm working out. Like
That's what's
That's what I'm
up.
talking
there's
about.
a
what's
lot
up.
going on over here. I'm
Hey,
single
what's
for the first time in a long time, and I'm actually enjoying it. Like
Yeah.
it's a whole vibe. So
Good
yeah,
for
I'm
you.
about fun and health and emotional intelligence. Like I had a lot of shit to work
love
on.
it.
So
Hey, straight
I
up
mean,
though.
I think honestly, and I will say one thing though, emotional intelligence, it's all about taking accountability.
I was just gonna
Facts.
say that.
You
That's
have
a great
to
note.
take accountability because somebody else is going to do whatever they want, but it's your job to regulate your own emotions.
Yeah,
That's
that
what
is
it is.
so
A
true.
lot of women struggle with accountability.
Hey, you know the 3 minute this table is better than any therapist you're gonna get. I'm just keeping it real
No,
with you.
but real talk, I'm glad she brought it up because that was going to be my last point. Just to hold yourself accountable. That's the ultimate form of emotional intelligence to me, and that's important on both ends. And I do feel like women struggle with that more. I feel like men, we've been forced to
Undoubtedly.
be accountable our entire lives.
Yeah.
And women are really good at deflecting.
Some of
on
us.
the accountability.
Accountability is a characteristic of manhood. It really is.
Yeah, it's undoubtedly.
Right.
If you're a real man, I'm glad you
know.
That's
said
what we're
that
talking
because
about.
we only talking about the real men here,
Yeah.
not the
Yeah, yeah.
busters.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so women really,
Mark-ass
really,
busters.
you stupid. Women, you really have to embrace accountability. Men will find that attractive. That's a characteristic a man wants in his woman, for long-term relationships. A woman who can't hold herself accountable is useless to me.
Yeah. That's what it is.
And a woman that don't suck dick, but that's another story.
Yeah.
I mean, both can be true.
Yeah.
Hey,
Thighs. We like thighs. No, I'm sorry.
I'm a titty man. But either way, so Brunch with the Boys, you can find us on all podcast platforms, YouTube presence as well, all the socials. Make sure you check out our TikTok, Brunch with the Boys.
Go comment. And Jacq, we appreciate you.
We really do,
Have
bro.
a wonderful evening. This will not be the last time we have
Please
you
get
on.
that
We
dick
appreciate
tonight.
you.
Please.
Ew.
Please.
Ew. Okay.
I'm not getting dick.
That was a great.
Conversations over coffee and brunch.